Ben was my controlling husband, who put his own brother before me and our son. When he found out that his brother Jason and his wife were going to have twins, he said that we have to vacate the house we live in. However, the house and land did not belong to Ben. It totally slipped his mind, and he will now go through hell. My name is Sarah, and I am 32 years old. We have a family of 3, my husband Ben, who is 8 years older than me, and our 5-year-old son Ray. My job is an artist of handmade accessories. Ben is a section manager at a major company. I used to work at the same place as my husband. We have 8-year age gap, so we didn't talk much when we first met. But since I was chosen to be a part of a big project, I started to have more opportunities to talk with Ben. His tolerance and kindness that older men have, the looks that make him look much younger than his age. I gradually found myself attracted to him. I am sure that many female employees had their eyes on my husband. My husband himself was completely unaware of this. Who would make a confession? Senior female employees who were checking each other out. However, unexpectedly, my husband, he confessed his feelings to me. The way I was working so hard, he told me that I was very cute. Because my husband was the one who confessed, the other female employees were shocked. We were together for about a year, and we ended up getting married. At the same time as we got married, I quit my job. I became a full-time housewife, and since I had more free time during daytime, I started making accessories, which I had always wanted to do for a long time. I kept making accessories steadily. When I had quite a large stock, I registered on a mail order site that only handles handmade products, and I started to sell them. At first, it was sort of hard to sell them, but I used various social media to introduce my works, and they were selling little by little. Even after my son Ray was born, I continued to make accessories, cutting back even more on my short sleeping hours. As a result, my works went beyond the world of the internet. I started to sell my works at fashionable variety store. Other than buying materials for the accessories. For Ren's education money when he grows up. I save all of my income. However, my husband does not think well of me as a handmade artist. My husband is very controlling. He thinks that women are supposed to serve their husbands. He thinks that if I have time to make accessories, I should take care of the housework more perfectly. This is how my husband behaved one day. When he comes home from work, he says, "I'm home." He said this only 2 words. Ben's routine is to take a bath as soon as he gets home. So, I have to watch the time and run a bath before he comes home. He goes straight to the bath without saying a word. Meanwhile, I get the bath towel and new clothes ready. I know that if I am distracted by other things and not be able to get ready, my husband will get mad. And as soon as he gets out of the bath, I have to finish preparing dinner. Every night, he has a drink with dinner. I have to prepare at least 3 dishes as snacks. If possible, I have to prepare 5 dishes. Moreover, my husband is a picky eater. He especially hates vegetables. He has childish taste. For a 40-year-old man, I never thought I would be bothered by such likes and dislikes. My 5-year-old son, Ray, eats everything compared to him. My husband rarely speaks during meals. He enjoys drinking alone. How I judge whether he likes the food or not is whether he cleans his plate or not. If I make the dish he once left most of the food again, he complains. "Why did you make this? I told you I didn't like it." He says, "I told you, but the last time he just left the food and he didn't say anything." It's cruel of him to tell me to understand him without saying a word. I sometimes forget what he likes or dislikes. And if I try to rebel against him, who do you think you owe your life to? If you can't listen to me, I can leave you. It's a cliché. I realized that the reason he made me a housewife and locked me in the house was because he wanted a wife who was devoted to him and to keep me from running away from him. This man is the kind of person who say things like this. I want to tell all the female employees who had a crush on him at that time that when the meal is over, my husband starts playing a game on his phone. While my husband is enjoying his time, Ray and I have to be quiet while my husband does not have the word family gathering in his vocabulary. Ray, his own son, does not miss him at all. If anything, Ray even takes him as an enemy. He sometimes sees Ben yelling at me, so he perceives him as a jerk who bullies me. On weeknights, after he comes home, I feel suffocated. On weekends, if my husband goes fishing, which is his hobby, Ray and I are free to do whatever we want, but if Ben does not go out and stays at home, we have to spend time with a sense of tension. Ben is the first priority in our family. I must never do anything to displease him. There is only one person my husband prioritizes more than himself. That person is his own younger brother Jason. He is my younger brother-in-law, but he is older than me. Ben's love for his brother is extraordinary. He wants to do something for him so much that actually is bothering Jason. For example, every time Jason gets a girlfriend, Ben asks around to find out what kind of person she is. Also about his marriage, even though his parents said yes, my husband hesitated to say okay. It was an awkward situation. Ben said, "Jason is very kind. There is a possibility that he is being cheated by a bad woman," and was about to request an investigation by a credit agency. After all, Jason said, "Why can't you trust the person I chose?" Finally, he reluctantly said yes. At the wedding of Jason and his wife, my husband was crying more than his parents. I still remember the whole family was cringing him. That love he has so much for his brother, I wonder why he can't have the same amount of love to myself and Ray, his own family. I have asked Jason about my husband's behavior. Ben loves you and cares about you crazily. Isn't it bothering you a little bit? Yes, it is. He used to be like a dependable big brother. He was cool back then. But now we both are old enough. I'm honestly tired of wondering how long he's going to be overprotective. It's about time for him to be independent too. LOL. He was laughing as he said this, but I'm sure he meant it. Not long after that, Jason's wife Mary got pregnant. My husband was very happy that his brother, whom he loves more than anyone else, had a child. He looked happier than when I was pregnant with Ray. I wonder how Ray and I are positioned in his life. The more I think about it, the sadder I feel. Then Ray came to me and said, "Mom, you look sad. Did he do something to you again? I'll protect you." I hugged Ray, who told me what I could count on. I was about to burst into tears, but I held back and told Ray, "Mom loves Ray too, and I'll protect you, I promise." Ray happily said, "Yes." He smiled. Later, we found out that Jason's wife was pregnant with twins. My husband was even more delighted. And even though we usually rarely talk, my husband spoke to me unusually. "Jason's wife is pregnant with twins, isn't she?" "I guess so. The apartment where Jason and his wife live will be too small after twins are born, right?" I guess you could say that. I know, right?" Then, my husband went back to his room as if he was pondering something. Is he thinking about something troublesome again? I just hope there is no damage to Jason or to us. It has been a month since the day my husband spoke to me. A large amount of empty cardboard boxes were brought into our house. What is happening? I asked my husband. It's nothing. I'm going to give up this house to my brother and his wife. Of course, a bigger house is better for raising twins. You're not going to say no, are you? If you refuse, I'll divorce you immediately. Saying this, my husband thrust the divorce papers at me. I was puzzled, but when I received the divorce papers, it was already signed by my husband. I took the divorce papers to my room. He walked up to my room and said, "You guys need to pack up," he said, and left the cardboard boxes in my room with a thud. Where are we going to live when we get out of here? An apartment near here. I chose this place so that I can go there whenever I want to help Jason's family. Have you explained to Jason that you're going to give this house to him? Not yet. I think it would be better to surprise him anyway, don't you think? We'll have to leave first to make that happen, my husband said, looking supremely happy. I went to pack up my stuff. I make it look like I am packing. I contact Jason. Jason, Ben is going to give up our house to be Jason's new house. Sarah, what do you mean? As Ben said it was a surprise, he really doesn't seem to know anything about it. I explained to him what my husband just told me. Since you guys are going to have twins, your current apartment would be too small for all of you. So he said, we will vacate the house we live in so that we can give it to you. Wow, what in the world is he thinking? We are already preparing to buy our own house. So, I'll be trouble if he's giving me his house. I knew Ben was jumping the gun. Of course you're thinking about. I will talk this out to Ben. Please invite us when your own house is completed. I ended the conversation, saying that. I got myself fired up and headed to my husband's room. Hey, it's about us going to vacate this house. What? I thought you were packing. Can you leave me alone with that packing? Ray and I are going to stay here. He stops packing and turns to me. What did you just say now? What do you mean you guys are staying here? He gives me a disgusted look. I meant exactly what I've just said. Are you trying to tell me that you guys are going to live with the Jasons family? I heard that the Jasons are going to buy their own house. So, it would be bothering if we give this house to them. I heard this story directly from Jason. It's solid information. My husband's face was getting red. If the information was solid, I would have known about it first. How the hell do you know? I just called him and asked him. And you know what, honey? You're forgetting something more important. What? That this house is under my name. And that the land belongs to my father Joe. What? My husband looks at me with a stupid look. I have the right to decide what to do with this house. So you cannot do anything with it on your own. Did you seriously forget about it? My husband seemed to have seriously forgotten. My father is a huge landowner in this area. Condominiums, parking lots, houses, etc. He owns a variety of real estate. I think the condominium near here that my husband was talking about earlier probably belongs to my father too. Because my father was a landowner, we were able to live in this house from the beginning of our marriage. The land belongs to my father now. I am supposed to inherit it after my father's death. My husband is not in a position to have any opinions on real estate matters. How could he have forgotten such an important thing? It is hard to understand. Then I showed him that document. This is the divorce papers that you thrust at me earlier. I signed it too, so I will go to the city office now and submit it. In the meantime, I'd like you to leave this house. I intentionally spoke respectfully, to show that my husband and I are now strangers. Even my husband seemed upset. He said, "Wait a minute. Divorcing is crazy. Can you live on your own? What about Ray? You just handed me the signed divorce papers. And you look like you are upset. You handed me the signed divorce papers because you're the one who wanted a divorce, right? Besides, I have enough income to live with Ray without you." What? This is the second time today that I've seen my husband's stupid face. You can't be serious, you don't have any income. I show him the balance in my bank book. Here is all the money I have earned so far. My husband takes the bank book and checks the balance. You don't mean this much? I don't mean to brag, but I am famous as a handmade artist. I haven't told you this, but my works have been displayed in variety stores, and they're selling online. You must be joking. Just tell me you're joking. Why do I have to be joking at a time like this? Unless you have something else you want to ask me, please go back to pack your stuff quickly. If you put them in cardboard boxes, I'll send it to your apartment later. Please leave before I come back. I don't want to see your face anymore. I busted my husband out. I took Ray out of his room and we went out. I could say what I wanted to say to my husband. I felt so refreshed. If I could feel so refreshed, I would not have had to put up with it. I went to the city office with Ray. We had lunch at a shopping mall, and we did shopping a little bit, and then came home. As I told him, seems like my husband packed his belongings in the cardboard boxes and left the house. I have to send them to his new home with cash on delivery later. Well, I think this is the last thing I will do for my husband. So I'll take care of it as soon as possible. I had spending peaceful days for a while after that. I am more and more devoted to make my artworks. I concentrate on making artworks, as I forget the time to pick up Ray. Ray also got to play freely at home. He seemed more lively than when his father was there. But then someone shows up to break this peaceful days. The first person who noticed was my next-door neighbor Mick. Lately, I've been seeing a man dressed, all in black clothes with a hat on his head. You never know what he might do to you, so be careful. Thank you for telling me that. Rumors of this man in black quickly spread throughout the town. There had been many sightings. Most of the sightings were around our home. I wondered if it might be. I think I know someone who that be. It had been a week since the sightings were reported. A man in black was caught in front of our house by a resident of the neighborhood. I immediately called the police. It took 2 men to subdue him, and when he took off his hat. It was my ex-husband after all. He got a little skinny, had a stubble beard, and looked kind of dirty. When my ex-husband found me, "Oh, hey! Sarah! Please start over with me!" he shouted. There's no chance for him to start over with me. I choose to ignore him and say nothing. Soon after, the police arrived. My ex-husband was taken to the police station to be questioned. I was told the story later. After Ben moved to the new home, he realized that he couldn't do any household chores by himself. The room was getting dirty day by day. The kitchen was piled up with food, scraps from lunch boxes, and cup noodles. The laundry was piled up. He used to wear a wrinkle-free suit and shirt, but he came to go to work wearing a wrinkled and smelled suit. As time went by, His boss scolded him for giving the impression of filth. After that, finally, he realized how much I had done for him. He was also making passionate speeches that how much he wanted to start over with me at the police station. However, I have no regrets for my ex-husband. My husband was returned with a stern warning from the police station. He was told that if he would do the same thing in the future, it will take more than just a warning. When I told my parents about this, I was told that it would be better to move out. It is true that this house is a little too big for Ray and I. I decided to ask my father to rent me a room in one of the apartments he owns. Of course, not to let my husband know, I had finished moving quickly during the daytime on a weekday. I told the neighbors, if you see my ex-husband hanging around again, please call the police immediately. I also asked them not to tell him where I was going. Now, I will be able to escape from my ex-husband's spell completely. Oh yes, Jason's wife safely delivered twin babies. Ray and I visited their new house to see the twin babies. Jason did not tell his brother the location of their new house. It seems that he too has been freed from the curse of his brazen brother,